Welcome to Salt and Light Canning. I'm Jessica and this is my kitchen and I'm happy that you're here. Today I'm going to be making like a beef stew or beef like pot roast in a jar. It's just perfect to take with you to like work, or if you just have a couple people eating dinner, it's just perfect. So to start off with, I need to get my carrots peeled and chopped. And these are just carrots that we grew in our garden this last year. Trying to work through them. I don't want to lose any of them because you take the time to grow stuff. You want to make sure you use it. So I'm just going to peel my carrots and get them chopped up. Hope everyone had a wonderful new year. Just so blessed. God is so good. So thankful for everything He's done. We're expecting just awesome things for 25. Hope you are too. I'm just going to cut these into small, like manageable pieces. It's just a rough chop. It's nothing perfect, okay? A stew is usually more chunky vegetables, so I'm not worried about it. All right, now I'm going to add some potatoes. These are red potatoes. They're not like the best for canning, but it's what I have. Usually you would use like a white potato or a yellow potato for canning, but this is what I have. So I'm just going to use what I have and do the best that I can. And again, I'm just going to cut these into smaller like pieces. It's manageable on a fork, but it's still going to be chunky, okay? Okay, I have my carrots and potatoes in my bowl. I have some stew meat and I have some roast. I'm going to get everything cut up and put in the bowl. And just whichever meat you can get on sale is good. I just wanted to use up the packages that were in my freezer because I don't want meat going bad in the freezer just because I didn't use it. Make sure these are small enough. You want like smaller pieces, like bite-sized type pieces. And the wonderful thing about canning, especially for meat, is you can get a cut that maybe is a little tougher than you would want for a meal. And when you can it, it just ends up being tender and delicious. I don't have any fresh onions. I would have put fresh onions in here, but I don't have any. I have our frozen, well, now they're thawed, but they were frozen diced onions. I'm going to put those in here. I'm going to grab some seasoning and probably some tomatoes and get this a little cleaned up. And I'll be back and we'll get it all mixed up and put into jars. Okay, now I'm going to add some diced tomatoes, because I like tomatoes in my roast. If you don't, then don't add them. Okay, I'm going to add some seasoning. Add whatever kind of seasoning you like. If you just want salt and pepper, then just do that. I'm going to add some paprika, about 2. That sounds good. And then I only have like a couple of tablespoons left on this barbecue seasoning that I like, so I'm just going to use that. And then I don't have any fresh garlic, and I don't have any like garlic in the jar, but I do have some garlic powder, so I'm going to add that. And then I'm going to add some of that W sauce. Kind of the key when you're doing a big bowl of like thicker, chunkier stuff is to mix in stages. All right, I'm gonna get my mess cleaned up and get my jars out. I'll be back when I'm putting this in jars. All right, I am going to can this in some wide mouth pint jars because my intent is maybe I want to take a jar to work, or if it's just a quick night and everybody's grabbing something on their own for dinner, they could just grab a jar. So it's my intent. That's what I'm going to do. I'm also going to put a bay leaf in the bottom of the jar because I like the way it tastes. If you don't, leave it out. Have my chopstick, have my jars, have my funnel. I'm going to fill my jars to 1 inch of headspace. I will be pressure canning all of this. And I don't want to go over 1 inch of headspace, especially since I do have tomatoes. Tomatoes, for whatever reason, seem to just cause siphoning, and I don't want that. So try and pull from the bottom. I'm trying my best to get a really good ratio of meat and vegetables. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and top these off with a little bit of beef broth. That's just personal preference. And this is just beef broth that I made. I'm going to debubble really well. All right, now I'm going to do my lids and my rings. I have some white vinegar here. I'm going to wipe the rim of my jar really well because I don't want anything that would interfere with our seal. Grab a lid. I line it up and a ring. And just to finger tight. There we go. Do my next jar. I really do love having like these little individual meals. They're just perfect to grab for lunch. And you know what goes in them. It's not like you're buying a frozen meal or something. You know what's in them. And it's just perfect. I take it and like you don't even need to take an extra bowl or anything. You can just take it, heat it up, eat it right out of the jar. It's just perfect. So if you have a busy morning and you just don't have time to throw together lunch for work, this is perfect. Or if you have a busy weeknight and everybody just needs to be able to figure out how to grab something for themselves, this is a really easy way to do it. I used to do a lot of meal prepping a long time ago. And when I was meal prepping, like it would only be, I would have to spend, 3 or 4 hours sometimes meal prepping for the week. But then that was only meals for the week, and it wasn't meals for longer. This way, I can spend a few hours on the weekend and get meals for the year. So to me, it's a much better way to do meal prepping if you do canning. Now, that's not to say like you still don't need to make a salad or two or something like that. If you do canning, you know that you can have some main dishes available and ready all the time that you just don't have to worry about. And I love that. When I started canning, one of the main things I wanted to be able to can was soup. Well, my canner is full. The water is cold. I have a splash of vinegar. And I have 16 pints of like beef stew in here. This is my 23-quart Presto pressure canner. I love it. I love the Presto canners for the value that you get, and they're just absolutely wonderful. If you're looking at getting a canner, I highly, highly, highly recommend getting a Presto pressure canner. But I'm going to turn my stove on to about a little over medium. And I'm going to put my lid on. And I'm going to bring my canner up to temperature. and let it vent out of this vent for 10 minutes, because that's what the manual says for me to do. And then I'm going to put my weight on, and I'll bring it up to 15 pounds of pressure. We are going to process these jars at 15 pounds of pressure for my altitude for 75 minutes. I'll be back when I'm doing something else. Well, our canner is done, and I turn the heat off after we process for 75 minutes. I turn the heat off and let everything come off of pressure. And then I took the weight off, and then I let that wait for just a couple of minutes, and then I just barely opened the canner and let that wait for just a couple of minutes. Then I took the lid off and let that wait for just a couple of minutes, and now we're ready to take them out. This top row looks like it's already sealed, so. I don't think it looks particularly pretty in the jar, but I know it is delicious, and I'm excited to have this on the shelf. Well, these are going to sit on my counter and relax and seal and have a good night. And then tomorrow I will take the rings off and wash the jars and label them and put them in the pantry. I hope this blessed you. I hope it encouraged you. Don't be afraid to try canning. It's really wonderful to have just meals on the shelf. It's very simple, makes life much easier. Let me know what you're canning. I love to hear from you. But be so blessed. Know that you're loved, and be a blessing to someone else. I'll see you in the next video.